Hi there, welcome to Carcassonne Problems. Let's assess the situation here. Blue has a 7-point lead on the virtual scoreboard. Both have one meeple in hand. Blue has a nice field on the left side. These squares here are dead. Yellow has a field over here. Both are safe. Blue still has an option to extend the field to the left to include this city as well. Yellow just closed this city on the right side. Wisely added a farmer there. So there's the option of them crawling around their newly closed city to take over this tight 15-point field. Sure, they'd lose the 3 points from this city, but it would still be at least a 12-point move. And that's not just the worst that could happen. They could also take a monastery in the process. So these two move combo would be an 18-point sequence for yellow and would quite likely lead to a win for them. And that's not even the worst that could happen. Yellow could also draw the remaining rows. Vanilla cap for a healthy 10 points on the scoreboard via the city, and then to top it all, a straight to unite these two fields, and surely this would win them the game as well. So blue right now has a crossroad in hand. They could opt to kill this here because there are no curves and road monasteries left in the deck. Or they could just take 2 points on the left side to extend their lead to 9 points. In this case, the problem with killing the square on the right side is, for one, this option here, which is rather unlikely, but it's still existent. And the other problem is yellow could also just take a 4-point city at the bottom to reduce their deficit to 3 points. And with the monastery still out there and a monastery spot worth 5 points plus a few points for one of their ruins, they could still win this game even without taking this field. And therefore, blue just opts to take 2 points on the left side. And also, one thing I didn't mention, there's also this option here to block the upper entrance into the field, or for that matter, the bottom one as well. But yellow gets exactly this tile, takes 3 points on the left side, not on the right side, of course, because they create a larger ruin which blue might take. And then blue gets the remaining crossroad again. They could kill this square. Leaving this cap out there ain't the way to go, as yellow could just take the 4 points, reduce the deficit to 2, and later just take the monastery and the shielded extender for 7 points, which blue would be unlikely to cover with 2 remaining straights. So why not just meeple this here? Then you'd be up 7 points. There is no way for yellow to still take this field over. But there is one issue with that. If your opponent gets the monastery for 5 points, the vanilla for 1 point, and the shielded extender for another 2 points, they'd score 8 points. So +1 for you, +8 for them, 7 points total. And with the 6-point lead, that's just 1 point shy of the win. So in this case, it's highly unlikely, but it's still a possibility. So the probability actually is 3/5 times 2/4 times 2/3 times a half. So that reduces to 1/10, and that's exactly 10%. So this here would be a 19% win for blue. If they don't execute the move, but instead score these 4 points at the bottom, they'd extend their lead to 10 points, but the threat of yellow connecting rises immensely, of course. There are only 5 tiles in the deck, and there's just one of them, the extender, which yellow couldn't use either here or there to threaten the connection. So let's see what blue did. Blue scored the 4 points. And what will yellow get? Yellow got the dreaded extender. Added the extender to their ruin for 2 points. And the gap is still at 8 points. The threat of connecting over there is still alive. But yellow gets the 1 out of 4 pieces, so hitting a 25%er, which could be used to kill this with one simple move. And then blue would be at +8, of course. This here scores them nothing unless they use their last meeple, which they shouldn't. But +8, and what's out there? Well, a monastery and a straight, for example, for yellow. Is there any way for them to score 9 points because they are the starting player? With a monastery and a straight, there isn't. No silver bullet for them. So this here would be blue's winning move. But I guess some of you already have a sense of foreboding regarding blue's move, and trust me, they didn't play there. So blue just extended their field to add another city to it for +3. The lead now is 11 points, and yellow's chances to connect over here has risen to 66% because they only need to hit the monastery with one of their 2 remaining moves. But they don't get the monastery. They get the straight. Of course, yellow knows their stuff. Quite likely Mars saw this option and maybe even this one here, and therefore added this farmer here. So yellow, of course, plays the straight there, keeps the meeple in hand to draw the monastery and score 6 additional points. But blue draws the monastery, and with this monastery they win the game, the match, because this was the decider, and a group stage ticket to the Champions League. At least in my book, with all their chances to kill this square and not executing any of them, I think yellow got shafted in this one, but that's Carcassonne as well. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.